Hello again. Let's make a quick tutorial about how to convert a roll scanned with your digital camera and using Grain2Pixel plugin. We need a Photoshop open. We need to open our plugin, and before opening, let's explore a bit the photos, my scans, and choose one of the rolls. So something C41. This is Fuji C200. That's excellent choice. So let's say we do that. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's view it in extra large icons, and let's open a bit the scans. I'm on Windows and using Gear from View, which is allowing me to see also JPEG RAW files, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's a free software. I invite you to do so if you are not already doing so, installing it I mean. And my scans are 1:1, but as you can see they are not perfect, so there are some edges. So I can invert them without any crop, without any problem, or I could crop them directly from scanning, because it could save some time after inverting. I don't need to crop them anymore. They're already cropped, so I can do that. So for this, for this edge crop, I could use the single crop batch, feature. So let's go into the plugin. Let's go to the. We need to select the digital raw and DNG files. Okay, in the source files, we need to select this one, the photos. Okay, so there are 36, I think. Yeah. Okay, it's a full roll. I don't want to save them in the same location. I simply want to go into the tutorial samples. I'll create a new folder called Fuji C200, and I'm going to save it here. Let's choose a format. I don't know, TIFF, JPEG. What do you? JPEG. JPEG is good. Choose crop method. Single crop once per batch align scans. Film base, I want to use the auto option. For conversion, I want to use the Grain2Pixel engine, and I want to be on the smart color cast remove, and also I will keep the auto light balance checked. I will keep checked the files to be open after conversion, and in post conversion I will create a contact sheet here, and for me I will choose from my film additional tools a simple flip action set, because I'm scanning reversed, and also I want to add a 24 megapixel sharpening, which is a combination between unsharp mask and smart sharpening, and I'm pretty happy with it for my digital camera scans. Okay, so everything is set, the file paths, everything. I can hit run, and in the beginning there will be a little things to be done. So here I have to set my crop factor. So this is a layer, you see, that you can maximize it, you can scale it up or down, defining your area that is going to be cropped from the whole roll. So this is a good average for me, you see. I don't want to touch. If you press shift, you can move the edges individually. If you don't press shift, everything on my windows in my Photoshop is going to be scaled, proportionally. So I want to scale it, without keeping the proportions. I want to manipulate every edge individually. So I'm pressing shift all the time. And I think this is a good, I don't know, it's a very good framing to avoid all the edges and stuff. The plugin will select the brightest area in the in this image to be the film base, But as you can see, there's some fill base here on the edge of the film, but also there's plenty of film base everywhere, so there's not a problem. I don't need that border. Actually, I don't need to see it, and I'm going to click on this checkbox. Film base value for the current frame was sampled. If you scan this roll with fixed white balance and fixed exposure, you may keep this value for the entire roll to save time during batch. Click yes or no. Actually, I scanned this roll with the same white balance and with the same exposure time, which was I think 1/6 or 1/5 from a second. I will click yes because the film base is the same for all frames. I feel that it would be a waste of time to sample it every time, even if it's on auto. It's recommended to use the auto option when your scans were done with various white balance and variable exposure time, but if they're both fixed, you have absolutely no reason. So now I'm gonna let the plugin do its job, and I'm gonna fast forward the video, and we'll talk again when everything is finished. So, hello again. The render of our roll has finished. Let's close this window, and here we have the contact sheet that we requested by pressing that checkbox. This is how a roll is converted. These are the images, basic stuff. This one needs more contrast, I think, at least for not curves. I would add more contrast and maybe a little bit of brightness. I don't know. Usually when I'm not sure about the editing, I'm pressing Ctrl-Shift-A, and I'm opening the camera raw, and here I can bring down a bit the highlights. I can bring down the blacks. I could increase the contrast and play with the exposure, and this is the way I'm finishing. Sometimes I'm using the camera raw, sometimes I'm using the adjustments, the old school adjustments. So you can do the same thing here, using brightness, using contrast, or using some curves if you want more contrast, more instead of brightness and contrast there. So this is the old school editing, and you can use the new school, the raw editing using camera raw. I'd suggest you to use the camera raw when you're inverting your roll as a TIFF in 48-bit. Here I just made it in JPEG because I don't know, this is what I've done, and I'm pretty happy with the JPEGs. And for small adjustments, JPEG is a very good format. So if if you just want to add some curves, like this, JPEG is enough. You don't need 48-bit TIFF. I'm pretty happy with the render, with the contrast here. Maybe a little more light in the shadows. But basically, I'm consider myself happy with the conversion. Here I would add some also some light in the shadows, and I would probably use the levels, to lighten up the shadows a bit. And yeah, I will move forward. Nice. This one needs just a little touch, and this is how, well, this is very dramatic after a storm. And let's delete this hair. I'm not so sure if these are birds or if it's some dirt on my film. I guess no, these are birds, but I will delete. I'm going to delete them because I really don't like them. It seemed to me that it's dirt, even if it wasn't. Yeah, pretty stormy sky. It rained a lot during the lockdown. This is not very sharp image. I used the telephoto lens, but I think the shutter was not fast enough. Yeah, so this is in a nutshell the way. This is the way. I think I have some dust on my sensor. I think so. This is how you invert a roll. So there's nothing complicated actually in doing this. It's pretty easy. You just select all your files and you decide how you want to crop them. I choose for this one the single crop. Yeah, that would be me, and there is still some dust here, but pretty clean roll. I would say that was pretty clean. I would say that Fuji C200 has a lot of dynamic range, much more than a Kodak Color Plus or something similar. I don't know why, but it retains a lot of details in the shadows. And here we are again, watching the contact sheet. Basically, this is how you do it. So if you forgot, we select the files we need. Okay, we just check our folder with I hope you have less, and there are not so many. Let's open this one. You're just selecting the files, okay? Then you're selecting the output. Then you, I don't know, choose between JPEG and TIFF. You can give a new name if you want, but I don't do it usually. But some of you would like to have them renamed as Fuji C200, I know, and giving a relevant name for the files instead of having DSC 0200 or whatever. At the conversion level, I chose for this particular roll, I chose a single crop, once per batch, and I chose the auto sampling for film base, and because I scanned this roll with a fixed white balance and a fixed exposure, fixed shutter, I was able to use the same value for the whole roll, and that reduced the time of rendering, you know, with few. For a roll, you will fit it if you just select at the beginning the film base, and all the other frames are scanning using this value, that value. You're going to see that it's going to be faster. For conversion, I use the smart and the auto light balance, and for post conversion, I use the flip and a sharpening. And I wanted to generate a contact sheet, and that was all. This is how I got this. There's no other settings that you should do. And from this point, I'm inspecting usually the contact sheet, and then I'm starting to using the Control tab to navigate through my files and adding small edits, you know, if they're needed. Contrast, maybe. As you saw here, I added a bit of levels. I moved the midpoint in order to give more light in the shades. And there are always little adjustments that you want to do to your scans. And pretty much this is it. This is how you do it. I hope you will enjoy this tool as much as I'm enjoying it. And until a new tutorial, let's keep developing and keep scanning. Bye bye all.